This episode is sponsored by the Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. Rounding out October entertainment is Charlie Crockett on the 18th and Queensryche on the 19th. Plus, don't miss a minute of football season. Join us in the sportsbook with a tailgate party on October 27th. Visit HollywoodCasino.com to see how you can reserve your package. Must be 21 to enter the casino floor and attend a show. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Sixpence None the Richer rocks the Birchmere in Alexandria, Virginia on November 3rd. Guitarist Matt Slocum called in to preview the show and reflect on the band's biggest 90s hits, from the iconic Kiss Me to their awesome cover of The Law's There She Goes. Hey, Matt Slocum of Sixpence None the Richer. Hey, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me.
We're talking because Sixpence None the Richer, the famous band, is coming to the Birchmere in Alexandria, Virginia on November 3rd. Now, where are we joining you from? You said you're calling from the tour bus. Are you literally going from town to town as we speak, man?
Yeah, we're in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Pulled in. We're doing about 50 cities in 2 months, so we're really hitting it hard. I think this is about our 12th show of the tour, and Alexandria, I think, will be first weekend next month. So yeah, we're covering a lot of ground.
Awesome. And is the Birchmere, I mean, it's a historic spot here in the DC, Virginia area, but have you all swung through there before? Like, is this the first time going there?
Yeah. Well, we have been through there. It's been a long time. And I think I may have played there with some other bands over the years, possibly with Over the Rhine, and I'm pretty sure Lee has played there as a solo artist multiple times as well.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I mean, it's an intimate spot, and to be able to hear you all play and Lee's voice belting in a small room like that, it's gonna be awesome. Now, is this I don't know if I want to call it a comeback tour, but I know you've put out a couple things, and I think there was like a 10,000 Maniacs tour that you kind of did. But anyway, like the point is there's a new EP out this month, right? It's called Rosemary Hill. I know you dropped that single We Are Love, so tease the new EP and why this is a big deal for Sixpence fans. It's sort of our first chance to see in a while, I think.
Yeah, probably the line of demarcation as far as it being a reunion tour and being 20-something years is our drummer, Dale Baker. We, like you said, we've released some other music and some other projects, done shows in different iterations of the band, but Dale coming back is a big deal, and it's been a long time since we've toured with him in the lineup, so that makes it special, and he's just kind of making this make sense again. So it's cool, and just to comment on your 10,000 Maniacs thing, Lee and I sort of toured with them last fall, and had a great time. I think it kind of reminded us how much we enjoyed being on the road together, and coming off of that, we realized, we want to put our efforts full time back into Sixpence, and that's kind of what led to this tour and this EP, and so we're thankful for that time we had with the Maniacs. It kind of reminded us how much we enjoy doing our own thing. So
awesome. Great experience, and now we're excited to see Sixpence back in action so it's Dale Baker back on drums. It'll be you on guitar. Lee Nash will be on vocals like only she can. And who else is with you? Is it Justin Carey on bass, or who else is within the lineup this time?
Yeah, our long-term bassist Justin Carey, and he's everybody's playing better than ever, and so that's the core four, and then we've got a sort of auxiliary guy with us. Steve Hendelong, who has an indie rock band called The Choir, which we've been fans for many, many years. And he actually produced the Rosemary Hill EP that's just come out, as well as he produced the Christmas album for us, which is being re-released on Record Store Day this year, Black Friday Record Store Day. So
nice.
he's out playing percussion and guitar, and it's really fun to have him out.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, that's gonna be really exciting to see this lineup. A lot of the beloved members that we remember. Awesome. Well, in addition to teasing the story, I always love to, remind folks sort of, some of the backstory or origin story of the band. I know you personally you were born in Rhode Island in '72, but you mostly grew up in New Braunfels, Texas. I guess your family moved there when you were really, really young. And when I saw that, I smiled because, dude, my wife and I literally got engaged in New Braunfels, Texas. It was a funny, we flew into Austin because I'm a movie guy. She's a music gal. And, so Austin's perfect. And then we just we rented a pickup truck and we're driving to San Antonio to go do the Riverwalk and Alamo and all that stuff. And we just pulled over in this random town called New Braunfels. And we actually found the engagement ring in like an antique shop there, right in that cute little downtown. So we love New Braunfels, my friend.
Yeah, it's a special place. I mean, that whole corridor, that Austin, New Braunfels, San Antonio, of amazing things to see and do.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know the antique shop I'm talking about? It was like right next to some, there was like a little bar where I ate a bowl of chili and there was like a little indie band there. I'm trying to even paint I don't even remember what the name it is, but it's like whenever that main little strip there. There's like a little antique shop.
Yeah, if you're eating chili and seeing music, it's probably the Phoenix Saloon.
Yes, that's it.
And there's a bunch of antique shops around that, and then Broadtex Theater is right down the way, and then I don't know if the old Henny Hardware was open, but my dad's best friend used to own that old hardware store there.
Oh, wow. And your folks owned a bookshop or something, right?
Yeah, my dad had a bookstore there, probably 12 years. He was kind of on the front end of B. Dalton and Walden Books and all that, and he got kind of, he was the little indie that got put out by the chain. It's kind of interesting to see how that's kind of swung back.
Yeah, now all the chains are put out by Amazon.
But yeah, exactly.
But that's funny. Well, anyway, yeah, I mean, I wanted to compliment your stomping grounds because it's just an adorable little spot with all the beer gardens, and it's just New Braunfels is awesome. But all right, so you're there, you're growing up there, and did I read that's where you met, your future lead singer Lee Nash? It was like she was there on a church retreat or something. How did that come about again?
We actually both grew up in New Braunfels, and we ended up kind of going to the same church when we were young, and that's kind of where I heard her sing on probably one of our youth group retreats we went on. But that's her old stomping grounds too. We both grew up there and had about 3.5 year age difference. So she was a freshman when I was a senior in high school. So we didn't hang out a lot because that's kind of a big age differential when you're that age. But yeah, like music was kind of what brought us together. And when I went to college, her parents were pretty cool about letting her leave after school to go play like clubs in Dallas or whatever. It's pretty wild. We didn't know what the hell we were doing, but we learned as we went.
I freaking love that. That's so cool. And I mean, speaking of the, meeting through church and everything, I know you've probably told this story many times, but there are probably some other listeners that might not know the story. So, but the title Sixpence None the Richer, is from C.S. Lewis's book, Mere Christianity, right? Remind us what's in the name, because it's always you hear Toad the Wet Sprocket and you hear all these funny names from the 90s, but Sixpence None the Richer has a cool meaning to it. Remind us.
Yeah. And I think I'll do my best to articulate that. Lee did such a fantastic job of explaining that very eloquently to David Letterman when she sort of sat down in the chair all those years ago unexpectedly and got interviewed by him. And he asked about the band name, and she's, I think that's on YouTube. It's such a great explanation. But that book was pretty formative for me, and basically C.S. Lewis was trying to describe that as artists, we're sort of trying to express our use our creative gifts to make art that, if you are of the Christian faith, or that's what you believe, is sort of meant to honor God. But he was sort of saying that those gifts were kind of given to you in the first place. So you're essentially giving back to God what's already his. And he used that, since he's British, he used used the sixpence as an analogy. So sixpence, like God, is essentially sixpence none the richer, but it's kind of happy for the gift, but you're giving them back what was already given to you. So it's a very bizarre name for a band. I think we were trying to just show the fact that that was a bit of our MO. But I think getting into the Christian music industry was certainly a rude awakening. But the name of the band and the intent, I think, were pretty pure and certainly based on that book.
Well, yeah, I love that idea of that. You're not just creating something on your own in a vacuum. You're actually receiving the blessings from God and giving it back to God, and I love that idea. Well, you talked about how the going into the Christian rock genre, what you said, quote, a rude awakening, and I'm sure there was a lot of positives to it too, and maybe some negatives. I would love to hear your take on some of those early days. So I want to remind our listeners, your debut album, The Fatherless and the Widow, was in '94. I guess a Christian rock album. Your second album, This Beautiful Mess, in '95, wins the Dove Award for Best Alternative Modern Rock Album. Dove Awards are a lot of gospel and spiritual stuff. And then the third album, the self-titled Sixpence None the Richer, in '97. Obviously, that will go mainstream. We can get that in a second. But I got to remind everyone, it earned a Grammy nomination for Best Rock Gospel Album, alongside, Petra's God Fixation, other nominees like that. So, yeah, I mean, what did you mean by it's a rude awakening, or if just in general, what comments did you have from the early Christian rock days?
So, I mean, when I was growing up, I got introduced to a lot of cool alternative Christian music bands. Like I loved the 77s. I loved the Choir, who is on tour with us. And Julie Miller were kind of part of that whole scene back then. Leslie Phillips, who would eventually become Stan Phillips. There was just a lot of great indie rock happening, but on a very microcosmic level, So we sort of were really inspired by that music and those bands, and that kind of is what led us into that world, because we had the connections and we respected those guys and we're fans, and so we're not embarrassed of it. I think it's amazing to me how much great music has come out of that world, and a lot of artists that have jumped into the mainstream. Even Buddy Miller's kind of a living icon at this point, music at large. So, but I think the Rude Awakening was just sort of, for lack of a better term, it was a bit of a musical ghetto. I mean, it was very, very, very small and very, very, very confined in a lot of ways. And I think there was a lot of artists in that world that just wanted to make great records and great music, and just kind of it could be hard to break out of that market, because back then people had a lot of preconceptions or misconceptions and would get hung up on those sort of things. And I think a lot of those guys just wanted to be respected for their music. So we were the same way, and kind of realized that we really wanted to kind of reach a broader audience, and we were lucky enough to fall in with the right people that helped us do that. So a lot of those bands should be a lot bigger than they are today. It was very indie, but almost yeah, I'm starting to ramble, but
No, you made a really good point, and thanks for going there with me, because yeah, we've had a similar fascinating conversation, with other people that have crossed over. Like, I guess Amy Grant started sort of, she was racking up Dove wins and stuff before jumping over, and to a lesser extent, like a Collective Soul, they kind of transitioned from early like Christian rock sounding stuff into some alternative stuff around the same time you all did in the '90s. So thanks, yeah, thanks for speaking on that.
everybody just cares about the music. They don't care about that stuff.
Right, right.
It's just people expressing themselves.
Absolutely. Well, you did reach a bigger audience, like you said, with that third album, Sixpence None the Richer. We got to go into "Kiss Me," because that one is an iconic song. It's one of the probably most nostalgic, like time capsule. You hear if that comes on the radio, you're instantly transported back. But that one gets you nominated for Best Pop Performance by a Duo Group Vocals at the Grammys. I believe Taylor Swift once told Vogue magazine it was the first song she learned how to play on guitar at age 12, and so I guess those are your opening chords, man. Do you take pride in hearing something like Tay Tay saying that?
Yeah, yeah. I think I think ultimately, like anybody that's making music wants to make something that achieves like some form of timelessness. Something that that just sticks around for forever, and kind of makes those generational jumps, and just connects with people in that way. And I think that song is interesting because it's not necessarily indicative of our whole catalog. It's,
Right.
in a way, it's almost an anomaly, but
An outlier a little bit. Yeah.
but it's opened up so many doors for us. It's I think I have two teenage daughters now, so to have to know that there's a connection to Taylor Swift, or even more recently a connection to Sabrina Carpenter, and then a connection to SZA, and then this thing with Lisa from Blackpink, and just all these things that my teenage daughters are completely aware of, and now I'm cool with them,
Yeah.
based on this new life, and but also to sort of see that it was a vehicle for Lee's voice to really influence that newer generation of pop singers, which is very cool to see. I mean, that's just a very cool legacy. So yeah, I mean, it's hard. It can be hard to live in that shadow, because you keep on making good music, but we'll probably never make anything that will achieve that level of success, because the business was different, and musical tastes are different. The whole game has changed. But yeah, so I'd say ultimately we're very, very thankful for that, because it's just a great, I'm kind of speechless. We're very thankful, and kind of surreal to watch it keep taking on forms of life, and
Yeah.
bizarre.
You kind of caught lightning in a bottle on that one, and that special time and place in the industry and in pop culture and in movies, because it was the main theme of that coming of age, the teenage rom-com. She's All That in '99 with, Freddie Prinze Jr. and Rachel Lee Cook. A whole generation grew up watching that. How did that come about? Was there did the filmmakers reach out to you all, or was that sort of in the works at the time you had already put the song out?
That was a guy who was at Sony. His name was John Kolodner. He was the A&R guy at Sony, I think Sony/Columbia. And I think he was. There's actually a great YouTube video that just came out. A guy who did a real deep dive on the history of how that connection happens.
Cool.
So I'm probably messing this up, but it was John Kolodner was, I think, being asked for some music for that film. He just happened to come see us at a club in LA around that time, and heard the song, and thought it, not only was a big hit, but would be perfect for the movie. It turned out that they did not even have they decided to rush the release of the movie, and so they didn't even have a soundtrack for the movie. So our song was essentially only the song available for sale for the movie, and you had to buy our album to get it. So it really just there was just a lot of serendipitous things that happened that really allowed it to really focus on us.
And then now it's hard to imagine the movie without it now, and the famous scenes walking down the staircase for the prom or whatever the date. Yeah, it's hard to they're like inextricably linked.
Yeah, we owe a debt of gratitude to John Kalodner, and then that really sort of ended up breaking the song globally and allowing us to tour Europe and Asia and all over the place. So it's that was a big turning point.
So awesome, man. It's you're forever, frozen in time in that, man. Well, hey, I know that the same album also had your guys' great cover of There She Goes, which was originally by the Laws in 1988. And by the time you all put it out, your version of it, I think that had already, speaking of movies, I think that had already, their version, the Laws version, had already been in like So I Married an Axe Murder and The Parent Trap. And I guess it would be in Girl Interrupted shortly after you put it out. So yeah, I mean, so it was already kind of famous in their version, in a male singer's voice from that famous version. What was your guys' idea and the key to switching it over to Lee's female voice? I mean, do you think having a woman version of it elevated it to another level? I mean, I'm not knocking the original. The original is awesome, but it was just different enough that I think your all's version, it's dare say borderline just as much of a definitive version.
Yeah, I mean, well, I will say that Laws record was a big one for me growing up. It was pretty formative. I just thought the songwriting and all the production were incredible. And I, was aware that I forget the name of the band that did it. I don't think it was the Dandy Warhol or the Judy. I can't remember who covered it for So I Married an Axe Murderer, but we definitely were aware of the other versions. But I think us recording it was maybe just kind of a sign of respect to Lee Mavers. I don't know if we really even thought about the female aspect of it. We just thought, man, that would be a great song to cover. It's just a fantastic song. And yeah, I think it really, it hit big. And the cool thing was, I think it really helped Lee Mavers out. And we have this great story where we played a little club in London back in like 2015, and he showed up, and he's pretty famous for being pretty hermetic, and he just showed up and just started drinking beer with us like in the afternoon, and he stayed all night long. We hung out with him till like 3 a.m, and then he just kind of disappeared back off into the night. So it was to get to cover a song and then have a personal connection with one of your heroes, and then know that you kind of helped them out financially to keep doing what they do. That was like a really special thing. Or, it's not just a cover anymore. It's like a personal connection. So that's really cool.
That's really, really cool to be linked to an artist like Lee. That's awesome. Awesome. So, all right. So at this point, you all are riding sort of the wave. You're doing Letterman and Leno and late night stuff like you're talking about. I think you even did an appearance on Sabrina the Teenage Witch as a band. That's cool stuff, bringing back my memories. But tell me about the fourth album, Divine Discontent '02, because I guess Breathe Your Name goes back. It's back to Dove Awards, right? Best Modern Rock Alternative Recording Song of the Year. I guess you had Crowded House's cover "Don't Dream It's Over" on there too. But what was the idea with the title like Divine Discontent, and and now we're back winning Dove Awards and stuff? Was the idea to pivot back more towards the Christian rock stuff, or are you not even thinking in those terms? You're just just rocking and rolling and putting out whatever spark you get.
Yeah, I think we will always be a part of that Christian music market. And, I think we'll always have fans there and history there. So I think any project we do is gonna have a life inside that world, which is fine. And I think we tend to kind of explore lyrically stuff related to those issues. So I think it's cool to get respect and love and acknowledgement there, but yeah, I think that Divine Discontent was more, that was more dealing with, I would have said, just burnout, some depression, some life struggles, and sort of, just asking questions about a lot of stuff.
Well, a lot of us can relate to that. A lot of us are, can deal with those similar issues. So that's why we vibe with it. That
and
album.
And I think the cover of Don't Dream It's Over, I think because we had such big success with There She Goes, at that point they're like, well, what, let's do another cover.
Right. Let's do it again.
And again, that was, to us, was like that Crowded House record was a big deal. It was very formative. Neil Finn, one of the best songwriters in history, and so that was again trying to show some respect and love. That song is so massive. I don't think he needs any help from us.
hey now.
But it's really fun to get to play that every night because that song never gets old, and people just love hearing it. So, and I think the lyric is actually pretty fresh and relevant for the times we're living in.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, for sure. That's a timeless one on many levels. All right, and then of course 2004 is sort of, I guess, a turning point for you all because A, you dropped your greatest hits album, but B, you sort of temporarily disbanded the band or go on hiatus for a few years at that point. Was that mostly so that Leigh Nash could do her first solo album, Blue on Blue? I guess it came in 2006. I know you wrote a track on or co-wrote a Nervous in the Light of Dawn on that, but was it mostly so Lee could head west to LA and try the solo thing, or was the band just needed a temporary break before you all got back together, or what was it?
Yeah, I think it was a mixture of a lot of things. Just on a basic level, I think we're just completely burned out, and just tired. I think Lee had just given birth to her son Henry, and that's a pretty seismic change in life. I kind of had wanted to start a family, and I don't know. I think we just wanted to hit the pause button.
Yeah.
Looking back, I think we kind of regret it a little bit because, we could have just taken a sabbatical or something. Made it not like a breakup thing. That's just what happened, and it didn't take long for us to kind of realize, we've still got a lot left in us. The greatest hits thing, that was probably premature, but
yeah, that's probably the label. That's the label of putting that out. Yeah, but
it feels good right now to kind of feel like we're still we still got music left in us, and it's gonna round out our catalog and our history, and I think we're a little bit older and wiser, and I hope, and know how to avoid the burnout stuff, and honestly, we both got to have time to raise our kids and our families, and on a less stressful level. So
yeah, and that's what really matters,
Yeah.
Well, man, you aren't the first, and you won't be the last successful band to burn out and break up and then get back together. It's a tale as old as time. But we're glad you all did reunite. And you dropped that, like you mentioned, there was that Christmas album, Dawn of Grace, in 2008 with the Jars of Clay. Dan Hazelton, Jars of Clay, did the Silent Night with y'all as a guest vocalist, and then you did Lost in Transition, 2012, your Sixpence album. I know Lee was doing other solo stuff in between that, but my point is, you all found I think a way to kind of balance the schedules of your different projects, and I'm glad to see that it's back. You're back in action, baby, at the Birchmere. We can't wait to see the new stuff. We really can't.
Yeah, it's sounding great. The band's sounding great, and since you mentioned the Christmas record, we ended up we are re-releasing that record with 2 new songs on the same label that the Rosemary Hill EP is coming out, and that's getting released on Record Store Day, Black Friday. But you can start streaming some tracks from it this Friday, and we'll definitely be playing tracks off that record for the Birchmere show. So it's cool that record that was done 2008 is going to see a vinyl release and some new live. So expect to hear some of that as well. It's not too early to be playing Christmas music in November, I guess.
Exactly. Well, we invite folks to pick up both. As you get ready to go see Sixpence None the Richer at the Birchmere in Virginia on November 3rd, pick up, the new EP Rosemary Hill, and then pick up the re-released Christmas album. Thank you so much for joining us. I had no idea we'd even chat this long. It was just flowing. I really appreciate you. You've been really generous. We'll let you run, but thank you so much. This was fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and look forward to the Birchmere show.
And long live New Braunfels. My wife and I thank you for your town.
Yeah, it's going too fast at this point, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Matt Slocum, Sixpence, None the Richer. Appreciate you so much. Everyone, Birchmere, November 3rd. Get your tickets. Thanks, man.
All right, thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time.